Hey lovely data enthusiasts, welcome back to the channel Data Delights with Coco, where we talk about all things data, and of course in a delightful way. And today we're going to be talking about a very important and interesting topic. We're going to be talking about good and bad visualization practices. So buckle up, because it's going to be an eye-opening and interesting journey. And if you're ready, let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing on my list is your visual choice. Your visual choice matters, okay? When it comes to creating effective visualization, you want to make sure that you are making use of the right type of visual for your data. Scatter plots for showing relationships within your data, bar charts for comparing values within your data, line charts for showing historical trends within your data, and then we also have the pie chart for showing the proportion of one value to the entire data. Right, the key is to match your data with the right type of visual so that you are able to convey your message clearly to your audience. This is a pie chart that has about 10 labels, which is a very wrong practice, because when you're making use of your pie chart, you want to make sure that your pie chart does not have more than 8 labels on it. Anything more than 8 labels is just too much for the pie chart. If you're going to compare or show proportions of more than 8 labels, then you can make use of a bar chart. All right, so make sure that you are selecting the right type of visual for your data. Now let's talk about the color choice. I had to take a deep breath, because I don't think this is talked about often. When it comes to using colors in your visuals, your color choice can either enhance your audience's comprehension of your visual and data, or it can turn your visual into enlightenment. So I know every one of us have our own favorite colors, but when it comes to visualizing data, you want to make sure that you are using your colors strategically. So make sure that you stick to a limited color palette, and make sure that your colors have a purpose. You can use colors to highlight points in your data. It can be the highest point, the lowest point, the average point. You can use colors to highlight these points in your data. You can also use colors to group values in your data. You can use colors to distinguish your data. So you can use colors strategically to convey your message clearly to your audience. This is not the time for you to start turning your visualization into a rainbow. Make sure that you stick to a limited color palette. Okay. The next up on my list is axis labels or visual labels. So I think both are important. The key is balance, is to know when to use either of them or use both. Axis labels are important for clarity, but visual labels provide additional context to your visual. So let me give you an example of when to use axis labels and when not to use axis labels. Okay, so we have a line chart on the left hand side. The line chart as its visual labels. Then on the right hand side, we have a line chart with the axis labels. So which do you think is better? The line chart with the visual labels, or the one with the axis labels? All right, so the line chart with the axis labels is better, okay, because it is uncluttered. It doesn't have the visual labels together, which can confuse the audience. Then next up is the bar chart. The bar chart with the visual labels and the bar chart with the axis labels. So which do you think is better? So it's the bar chart with the visual labels. All right, so like I said earlier, the key here is balance. The key is balance. It's knowing when to use the axis labels, knowing when to use the visual labels, or you can even make use of both of them as the case may be. Like what you see on your screen is a bar chart and a line chart together, and there is a visual label and also axis label. All right, so make sure that you know when to use either of these labels. Use the axis labels when you have a lot of things to show, when you're showing a lot of values or a lot of labels or a lot of values or labels. All right, then you can use your visual labels when what you're showing are not much, so it's possible you're comparing values in your data, so you can make use of your visual labels. Now, the cherry on top of any visualization is the visual title. It's like a bow on a present. It's like the icing on a cake. So a good title can tell your audience what your visualization is about. It should be concise, meaningful, informative, and not in any way misleading. So don't forget, it's a title. It can either make or break your chart's impact and maybe even leave your audience more confused. So we're going to be looking at some charts and we're going to tell which is a good title practice and which is a bad title practice. So the first chart here is a line chart and it's telling us the sum of sales by year, quarter, month and day. Then on the right we have a line chart. It's still the same line chart and it's telling us the sales trend by year, quarter, month and day. So which is better? Of course, so it's the sales trend by year, quarter, month and day. So it's more informative, it's more meaningful than what we have on the left hand side. Then below we have a bar chart that says the sum of sales by products, and on the right hand side we have the product performance by sales. So now you already know which is the correct one. It's the product performance by sales. So you can see how the visual titles have helped us to understand these charts better. So please make sure that you use clear visual titles for your visuals, okay? So that you don't end up confusing your audience. So before we go, here are some additional tips for you. So number one, avoid clutter. Make sure that you keep your visualization clean, neat. To be honest, less is more. Put in what your audience needs to know, just the important metrics of your data. Okay, so the next tip that I have for you is consistency. So make sure that you are consistent throughout your visualization. So maintain a consistent styling, okay? Remember, they say consistency is key and it also applies to data visualization. And there you have it, data enthusiasts, data beginners, whichever category that you fall into. I do hope that you've been able to learn a thing or two from this interesting topic on good and bad data visualization practices. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Follow for more data-driven adventure with Coco here, and do let me know what you think in the comment section. So what are your thoughts on this topic? If you have more tips to share, please let us know in the comment section. But there was one thing that I forgot to mention earlier. If you're looking for a site where you can select color palettes from, then I recommend the Coolors site. So this site has really been helpful to me, and this is in no way advertising for them. This is just me sharing what works for me. They have a very wide range or wide library of color palettes. I do recommend Coolors. All right, then until next time, happy visualizing everyone, and see you guys in my next video.